I didn't like the UK or the way the UK was headed, and I went to Portugal, spent like 2 weeks, and it just didn't work. Came back to the UK and decided, well, I had some savings from doing odd jobs for the past 5 years, and never spent pocket money. I always saved every penny I ever had, and yeah, I went to Thailand.
17. What did your parents say when you said, I'm going to Thailand, I'm not coming back? Did you make any mistakes as a young man? What's the story, folks? How's it going? Pete here from Thairish Times. We have an interesting interview for you today. I met a gentleman named John Canton who came to Thailand when he was 17 years old, and he spent 17 years here. Now that kind of blew my mind. I was very curious as to why someone came to Thailand that young and how they made it work for them. And here they are 17 years later, still in Thailand. So of course I took on the interview that you're about to watch, and the rest is history. So let's get straight into the interview. As always, leave me a comment because it does help out with the algorithm. Like the video if you did like the video. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say on this one. Let's get straight into it. John, nice to meet you. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah,
so
great.
Tell us, John, where are you from?
UK.
UK. Now, you sent me an email and you said you arrived in Thailand when you were 17 and you've been here for 17 years.
Give or take.
34 now, give or take. Okay, tell me that story.
Well, it goes back to growing up, I was like interested in travel and history and all kinds of stuff like that, and just done my GCSEs in England, as you do, and then I taken on A levels, and just so happened I was wanted to do history, but the topic I was given was so uninteresting to me. I thought, well, I'll do something else instead. So I remember listening to stories like around the dinner table, like a family friend who used to come over and talk about Thailand, and although Thailand was never a country I was sort of interested in like reading about when growing up, I just thought, I'll go to Thailand. And then I booked a 30-day holiday, came, liked it so much, went back to the UK for like 10 days, got myself a non-immigrant multiple entry visa from the Hull consulate, which you used to be able to do in the day, no questions asked, they just gave it to you. And then came back to Thailand for, well, apart from about 8 months, forever.
All right, so let's go back a little bit. 17. What did your parents say when you said, I'm going to Thailand, I'm not coming back?
Well, originally it was meant to be a 30-day holiday, and before that I'd actually attempted to move to Portugal. I didn't like the UK or the way the UK was headed, and after finishing the AS levels, I think they called them, I went to Portugal, spent like 2 weeks, and it just didn't work. Came back to the UK and decided, well, I had some savings from doing odd jobs for the past 5 years, and never spent pocket money. I always saved every penny I ever had, and I went to Thailand, and then they were just sort of supportive. If that's what you want to do, go for it. So I did.
Were you legally able to do that at 17?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You can travel at any age.
Okay. That's crazy, man. That's 17 years old coming over here to Thailand. Okay, you get over here at 17. Where are you staying?
Well, I stayed on Sukhumvit Soy 11, the PB Hotel. Some people might have heard of that. Before all the fancy hotels that they have around that area now, you sort of walk to the end of Soy 11, turn left, and then you head a bit further down and you've got your PB Hotel there. It was 800 baht a night back in the day. I think it's 860 now, so it's not changed much, but stayed there. Basically, I'd heard everything from this family friend who used to come to Thailand a lot, and sitting around the dinner table talking about stuff, and your mother's giving like a strange eye, so to speak, to like, should you be telling this to my 15-year-old son? But I mean, all these stories he used to tell, and I think, I'll go and have a look. So his advice was go to Soy 11, stay at that hotel, and just walk around that area for a bit and get to know it, and then take it from there. And that's what happened. And
so you stayed here. You were here, obviously, you said you had savings, so you must have been here for an extended period of time without working. But then
originally I came for 30 days and then back in the UK for 10, and I had savings back in the day, you have to remember you were getting 75, 76 Thai baht for £1, and everything in Thailand was half the price that it is now. So I had savings, which I thought was a small amount of money that just happened to be in Thailand that you could live for 3 years without doing anything with, £15,000. So.
All right, so you were here for 30 days, went back to the UK for 10. Then what did you do?
10 days, 2 weeks. Basically, I got a multiple entry non-immigrant visa from the Hull consulate, which gives you 1 year. You have to go do border runs every 30 days. And yeah, I got that visa and came for 15 months doing border runs, and then got another one from the UK, then another one from the UK, and then I ran out of money, and then tried to do something in the UK, failed at that, came back to Thailand, and yes, small hand in teaching, that didn't go well, and then I came upon a career which I've been doing for the past 12 years now. So
that you start a career, okay, so you've been doing a career for the last 12 years. What's that career?
I manage teams of customer support people.
Teams of customer support people. What's that involve?
Well, for example, the first job I had, I was working for a UK company. They did telecommunications, and I managed people who were supporting the people who use the product. If that makes sense.
So you're working online?
Online, yeah. I think I did remote work before it was sort of cool to do remote work, in my opinion. I like to think that way.
So have you lived in Bangkok? Talk us through, where have you lived?
Well, I came originally, I lived in Prakanong. For my first 3 years, I lived in Prakanong. I wasn't working, I was just sort of partying every day.
Living off your savings?
Living off savings, yeah. I was spending about £600 a month in Bangkok, which back in the day you could live like a king for. Obviously you can't do that anymore.
This year it's 2005, 2006?
Late 2005, early 2006, 2007, and into 2008. And then obviously we had the financial crash and Western currencies plummeted in value. And then after that, I tried to do something in the UK, had a pretty decent idea. It didn't go according to plan, unfortunately.
Can I ask what it is?
It was something to do with the music industry. I had an idea which I thought was great, but it turned out not to be. But that's how stuff goes, I suppose. And then I moved back to Thailand. I think I had about 100,000 baht in my Thai bank that I'd saved. And I didn't live in Bangkok straight away. I lived in a central province in Nakhon Sawan. Stayed there for probably about 6 months, just basically spending absolutely nothing. I got into teaching. I did that for 3 months, maybe even less than 3 months. I couldn't hack that. And then I just looked upon what I've been doing ever since. Basically blind luck. I'm not going to lie. It was just luck. I happened to find this job for a UK company, and that allowed me to do it in Thailand. So.
And do you enjoy doing that work now?
Well, yeah, I did. With the first company I did for 8 years, and then I managed to land a pretty decent job in Bangkok, but I only lasted for 15 months with that, unfortunately. And since then, I've been working for another UK company, but I invoice everything through my Thai company here in Thailand. So yeah, it works. It works okay.
So you set up a Thai company over here?
Yeah, since 2015, I've had a Thai company. Yeah. Okay.
And you invoice everything through the Thai company?
I invoice everything through the Thai company so I can have a work permit. Because I hope to one day get residence or citizenship or something. Maybe it's a false hope, but I do hope to one day get something permanent in the country. So
that's a clever move. That's how you got your work permit. I like that. It's clever.
Yeah.
So, is the money good?
It was better. My job in Bangkok was the most I've ever been paid. That was amazing, and I'm probably 35% of what I was paid in Bangkok at the moment. So it's still okay. But
how many hours a day are you working?
Full-time job. Now I've got a full-time job now, but I've sort of come to an agreement where I can perhaps maybe have 1 week per month remote work, which is why I'm in Bangkok at the moment.
So let's go back into you being 17, 18, 19, 20 in Thailand. Now that kind of blows my mind a little bit because Thailand's a great place, but it can lead you astray. Even guys that are 40 and 50 years old, it can lead them astray. Everyone thinks they know Thailand. It can be a wild place, right?
It was.
Did you make any mistakes as a young man?
Well, I remember waking up one morning. I've got a tattoo all down here and all here. That was just what happened, sort of thing. That was one of the biggest mistakes. But I usually know what my limit is. So you go out, you have maybe 9-10 beers, and then that's it. No more.
9 or 10 beers, John?
Yeah, no more. That's not it's small bottles we're talking about. Okay. Not the big bottle or a pint or anything. Small beers.
But so, are you a sensible? Were you a sensible kind of a young guy?
Well, as sensible as they come, I suppose. Maybe not too sensible, but it was. Back in the day, it was. For me, what drew me to Thailand, I mean, I don't know what people will think, but it was the top 3 reasons for coming to Thailand were, number 1, it was really, really cheap. Number 2, it was extremely affordable. And number 3, it was just unbelievably cheap. I mean, that was the top 3 reasons. Everything else I loved, but if it was sort of even close to what back home prices were, would I have sacrificed everything else I would have wanted to do to stay in Thailand? And looking back, probably not. I mean, I had dreams to travel. When I came to Thailand, my idea was to come for 30 days, go back, and then travel around a few other places. I wanted to go to Colombia. That's where I've always wanted to go. After reading Killing Pablo, that book, one of my favorites, and wanted to go to Chile. I wanted to go to Zimbabwe, Botswana, lots of countries that I still want to go to. But yes, I got sidetracked by Thailand because it sort of felt, what's the point going somewhere else when Thailand is basically, you can live for basically pocket change. And of course, it's changed so much over those years.
Is Thailand addictive?
Back then it was, yeah. Extremely.
How about now?
Now it's like, well, I don't want to live in the UK, and Thailand is okay. But I don't want to live in the UK.
Would you ever go back to the UK?
Well, potentially, it depends. I mean, some things I miss about the UK, like the beautiful countryside, the pub meals, like proper beer, and things that you can't get in Thailand. But in terms of Thailand as it is now, I think I'm pretty set for the moment here, unless something changes. You never know.
You seem to have made it work for you, and that's quite admirable. So do you have any advice for anyone out there that's watching this now that's maybe under 50 and is considering coming to Thailand to work?
Well, I think the number 1 thing is, if you definitely want to come to Thailand, you have to fit yourself into 1 or 2 categories. Either number 1, you want to come temporarily for a few years and go back home, which is a completely different kettle of fish than if you want to come to Thailand permanently and this is where you want to live. If here's where you want to live and you want to settle down here, understand what you want from Thailand before you come, because in terms of visas and work permits and the potential of getting residence or even citizenship, I found out the first 5 years of my stay in Thailand, they counted for absolutely nothing. Basically, you've got your multiple entry non-immigrant visa, but that doesn't mean anything. You could have that for 20 years, and that doesn't mean anything. You need to meet strict criteria in order to get here, to get an actual visa to live here permanently, if that makes sense. So, I would say if your goal is to come here temporarily, then don't worry about it. But if you want to live here permanently, understand the rules before you actually do that. That would be like a top tip, I suppose. I wish I knew what I know now before, because if I did, I would have perhaps attempted to get an extension of stay and work permit earlier on in order to get residence or citizenship, which is my dream. Whether it's a foolish dream or not, I don't know. You've got to dream, I suppose.
Got to dream, absolutely. So one of the questions I have here is, in hindsight, if you could do it all again, would you do it all again?
No, definitely not, no.
No?
Definitely not, because Thailand has changed so much. If I'd have known how much Thailand would have changed from when I moved here originally, I wouldn't have moved. Absolutely not. Definitely not.
How has it changed?
Well, look at Bangkok, for example. It used to be a raw, like gritty, even dirty, like exciting, extremely cheap place to live if you were from the England. I mean, I don't know if you're watching this from a different country, I'm not sure. I'm talking about if you're from England. It used to be so cheap, and I know people like rabbit on about this, and lots of people make videos about how people complain about how it was in the past. But if I'd have known how much Bangkok would have changed, I wouldn't be here now. Definitely not. No questions asked. I wouldn't be here now, because you're sacrificing so much. For the sacrifices you made were for something that no longer exists. So
let's talk about your cost of living. How much are you spending per month over here?
Now, probably about 60,000 a month, but I have a car loan and the wife's got a mortgage and stuff like that, so about 60,000 a month at the moment.
And where are you living now?
Chiang Mai, countryside.
Do you like living there?
Yeah, I do. There are some negatives that go along living in the countryside, which I think lots of people don't understand when they come here, such as the burning issue. People will start a fire right next to your house. It'll ruin your washing and all kinds of stuff that, some people say, well, that's the culture, get along with it. But I tend to think that, in the West, we're told to evolve and get along with things. And I think perhaps in Thailand, certain things that they used to do perhaps are a bit outdated, and they should get along with perhaps not doing such things anymore.
Well, if anything, if it's bad for your health,
well, yeah,
it should be brought up. And of course, I agree with you 100%.
Like there's, we have a house, or the wife has a house, whatever you want to call it, in like rural Chiang Mai, like not middle of nowhere. We're on like a small soi, about 2 hours from Chiang Mai city. And next door, they've got a vacant plot, and they're always burning leaves and plastic bottles and all kinds of stuff is just thrown on the fire, and they don't think anything of it. That's just what they do. And, you know, I've endured 3-4 years of that, and yeah, we've moved somewhere else.
Where are you going to go?
Basically, it's like 40 kilometers away, same area, but we've got a shop house where my wife runs a business. So it's not like a nice house with a garden, but it's like a small place where we can live that doesn't have people burning next door.
So is it easy to stay in Thailand long term if you're under 50?
If you're not married or working, probably not, unless you get an elite visa, but you have to sort of decide if paying that money for basically nothing is worth it to you. For me, I find the elite visa quite offensive because you pay your money, after 5 years you're out unless you pay the money again. If it led to something more permanent, then yeah, sign me up, I'll be the first person to pay the money. But if you're extremely wealthy and 500,000 baht to you, or however much it costs, is the same as 1 baht to me, then fair enough. But for me, if you're not married, you're not working, you're not retired, then you can come and you can stay here. You might be able to mess around with an education visa for a few years or a tourist visa for a few months or whatever, but actually stay then with hopes of something for the future is pretty difficult. But I class staying and living as very different things. In my opinion, I'm temporarily staying in Thailand. According to my visa, I'm a temporary I'm not a resident, I'm a non-immigrant. So I'd like to be an immigrant, but I'm not. So. Yet anyway, hopefully in the future things will change. So.
So if someone wants to come to Thailand and eventually become a resident here,
like permanent resident,
how do they do that?
Well, if they can't, for example, find a company to work for in Bangkok or anywhere in Thailand, then the best thing, or what I did, I formed my own company, and therefore I can get my work permit through my own company. And before, I was working for a company in the UK, and I invoiced everything through the Thai company, maintaining my work permit. And now I work for a company within Thailand who works for a UK company. I could work from them directly, but I chose to do it through my own company and invoice them in order to get a work permit through my own company, so that my stay in Thailand is sort of beholden to me as opposed to beholden to the whims of a company that might want to get rid of me anytime.
So you'll keep your work permit if something happens with your employer,
right?
You'll still be able to keep that.
That's my idea, yeah. But it works in swings and roundabouts. Before, my issue was I had my own work permit through my own company before for about two and a bit years, and then I cancelled that because I had a really good job offer in Bangkok. But it didn't sort of flow from one to the other properly, so basically I was starting again. And I worked for them for 15 months through the BOI company, the Board of Investment, like probably the best job I'll ever dream of having. Nothing gonna be that good again. And I was like 9 months away from being able to apply for residence, but then they sort of got rid of me because the part of the business I was working for was no longer required. And then I didn't have a work permit anymore. So my dreams of residence were slashed back by another 3 months, and then I found another company that wanted to employ me here in Thailand, working for a UK company. They work for the UK company, but apart from, what's the right word to say? As opposed to me working for them directly, I said, well, can I invoice you through my Thai company, so that if, for example, in 2 years you don't want me to work for you anymore, or if I don't want to work for you anymore, I will still be able to maintain my work permit. So my advice would be, if you want to come and live here, form your Thai company, get your work permit, and then invoice everything through that. After 3 years, unbroken work permit, tax payments, and a proper extension of stay, then you're eligible to apply for something a bit better.
Is it easy to set up a Thai company?
I used an agent. It was pretty easy. Yeah.
Like, how much did it cost?
40,000 baht.
40 grand. Not too bad.
Not too bad, yeah. But then it's a caveat to that. If you're not married, it's more difficult to get a business visa. Now I have an extension of stay on marriage, which you can use for a work permit, which makes it a lot easier. If you're doing it through and you want a business visa, you want to come here as a single person, you've got your business visa and your work permit, that's a lot difficult. So I'm not in a position to be able to talk about that. But it's a lot more difficult to do it through if you want a business visa, basically. And depending where you're located in Thailand is how many staff you're going to need. Now, originally, I managed to do it with 0 Thai staff. And people say that's impossible, but yeah, I managed to do it with 0 Thai staff. But recently, my wife's business actually needs staff, so I'm lucky in that sense. We've got 2 staff.
How were you able to do it without any staff?
Thailand. The agent did it for me.
Okay.
So. And then Chiang Mai, Bangkok's different, I don't know. But that was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, so things have changed. So now we've got 2 staff which we need in order for me to get the work permit. But my wife needs them anyway, so it's a win-win.
Well, John, you're a very interesting guy. You've got an interesting story there. 17 coming over to Thailand. I mean, that's wild. And you made it work for you, and I can tell I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah,
you've got your head screwed on. You've got a business mind, and I hope it all works out well for you. And shake my hand. Thanks very much for doing it.
Yeah, you too.
And I'm going to plug John's channel. I'm going to leave a link in the description. John has his own channel. It's kind of like a passion project, and he makes decent videos, and he gives good knowledge as well. So check out his channel. I'll leave a link in the description. Subscribe to this channel. Like the video. Leave me a comment. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.